As federal agencies continue their efforts to deport undocumented migrants, one Central Texas ICE facility has generated concern in its years in operation. The lack of oversight as questions go unanswered in Taylor.
Much more sun today, warmer today, and a warming stretch is going to continue through the weekend and beyond. We'll show you when the 80s come back and how long they could last in First Warning Weather.
And the nation mourns in the wake of a deadly plane crash in D.C. and a federal investigation intensifies. The dangerous staffing troubles grabbing officials' attention as recovery efforts continue.
An artist from Texas traveled to Washington, D.C. to set up a monument honoring the 67 victims of Wednesday's midair collision near Reagan National Airport. Early this morning, Roberto Marquez began putting up crosses along a road next to the airport. He has about 20 with him today and hopes to install one for each victim before he's done. Marquez says he hopes this memorial will provide some comfort to the families who lost a loved one in this tragic crash.
This is not for me. It is for those families that I guess they might appreciate it, you know, and I think it's a good example to everyone that is out there listening.
Meanwhile, divers are back in the Potomac River today trying to recover the rest of the victims' bodies. Crews recovered 2 black boxes from the passenger jet, and the FAA says they are in good condition. The National Transportation Safety Board says it is downloading data from both of the devices in order to figure out how this crash happened. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Will Dupree, and tonight for Daniel Marine.
And I'm Jennifer Sanders. With a federal investigation underway, officials are turning their focus now to the workload facing air traffic controllers and whether the military helicopter was flying higher than is allowed. NBC's Jay Gray reports now from Washington.
As the grim recovery effort continues in the Potomac, we are learning more now about the focus of the investigation into the deadly midair collision between a regional jet and Army Black Hawk helicopter. NTSB teams analyzing these voice and data recorders pulled from the wreckage of the plane.
We will take as long as it takes to find out the probable cause, but the more important part of this is the recommendations that come after that.
This new video, first aired by CNN, shows the moment of impact. Many analysts and pilots suggesting the chopper was flying too high and may have strayed from its approved flight path. There are also questions about reduced air traffic control tower staffing, described as acceptable but not normal in a preliminary FAA report. That comes as we've learned about a near miss just 24 hours before the crash, a plane forced to avoid a helicopter in its path during landing.
4514, what was the reason for the go-around?
We had an RA with the helicopter traffic below us, Brickyard 4514.
As investigators search for answers, so are the families of the victims.
It's like you see these things happen in the news, you see them happen in other countries.
Kamad Raza married his college love, Ashra Hussein, just 2 years ago. Now, he's planning her funeral.
Life is short. Hug your loved ones, tell them you love them.
67 families unable now to share that hug, that message with brothers, sisters, moms, and dads who won't be coming home. Jay Gray, NBC News, National Airport.
And going in depth right now as crews work to investigate this tragic crash in D.C. A Texas congressman is continuing to raise concerns over air traffic control staffing a little closer to home. Representative Lloyd Doggett warns the Austin airport is missing half the necessary air traffic controllers it needs under FAA regulations. Last May, Congress passed a reauthorization bill for the FAA. Now, this directs the agency to hire more air traffic controllers and hit certain hiring targets. However, Doggett says it's not being done fast enough. His warning coming after an incident back in October when a small plane crossed the flight path of an incoming American Airlines flight. And that incident came less than 2 years after a close call at AUS, which federal investigators said, quote, could have been catastrophic. Doggett says the lack of air traffic controllers is specifically bad for us here in Central Texas.
There clearly is a shortage of air traffic controllers across the country, but we are worse here in Austin. We're in about the top 5 in terms of shortages of all airports in the country.
And when it comes to air traffic control training, it is highly extensive. It's done at the FAA Academy in Oklahoma City and can last anywhere between 3 to 5 months. Future air traffic controllers then undergo on-the-job training that can take even longer.
And the tragedy in D.C. comes as more Black Hawk helicopters are winding up at military museums as the Army phases those out. Since the 1960s, the choppers have been a major workhorse for the U.S. Army. However, there's been a steady retirement of older models in recent years, so the current number in operation for the Army is now below 2,000. They can be configured for troop deployment, special operations support, or medical evacuations. For Army pilots, typical training can last up to 3 years, requiring a minimum of 500 flight hours in the air and even more time on simulators, both with and without night vision goggles.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon.
Hope you got a chance to step outside at least at some point today and not just early this morning when the air was rather chilly. Look at it now from the Covert Bee Cave Auto Mall camera there in Bee Cave with blue skies and sun. A little bit of a breeze, but the wind is going to come down as we head into the evening, setting us up for an even chillier night in some places. We're still at 70 in Austin, a lot of low 70s, east of 35 and a blend of upper 60s and low 70s in the hill country. And it's only going to get warmer as we head into the weekend. Just an update on the pollen count. Mold is low but trending up. Cedar is medium. It spiked this morning, but it's on its way down. Elm and willow are low as well, and skies are clear, and they'll stay that way for quite some time. So 62 at 7, 57 at 9. We're down to 52 at 11, making for a cool but pleasant Friday evening if you're heading out tonight. Coming up in First Warning Weather, we'll show you the chilly nights yet warming days. 80s, potential record heat for next week, but also the return of humidity.
Nick, thanks so much. Today, Texas Governor Greg Abbott banned the use of artificial intelligence and social media apps that are affiliated with China, but only on government-issued devices. The ban prohibits state employees and contractors from using apps like RedNote, DeepSeek, and Tiger Brokers. In a statement today, the governor said this, quote, Texas will not allow the Chinese Communist Party to infiltrate our state's critical infrastructure through data harvesting, AI, and social media apps.
As deportation efforts increase across the country, we're checking in ICE facilities and we're checking on those in and around Austin. So the nearest longstanding ICE detention center is in the Williamson County town of Taylor. We have learned that since Williamson County ended its agreement in 2019 with ICE and Core Civic, the contractor running the center, there's been little oversight from local officials. A stipulation in the old agreement let the Williamson County Sheriff's Office check on that facility whenever it wanted, and the county confirms no one has been by since the agreement ended about 5 years ago. The months leading up to the commissioner's court vote that terminated the contract were filled with protesters voicing concerns for the safety of the nearly 500 women detained in the center. That largely fueled by a detainee reporting to have been sexually abused by a guard in 2017. When county commissioners voted to terminate that agreement, the lack of oversight is something at least one commissioner has voiced some concern about.
Williamson County Sheriff's Department will no longer have the ability to go on site anytime for any length of time and anywhere in that facility. They clearly have uncovered problems in the past.
And we have asked ICE repeatedly for an update on the detainees, how many are in custody, and for more information on its detainee work program. All of those questions and more still are going unanswered. KXAN's Mercedes Hernandez dove into the history of the center and the struggle to get some answers. You can find that full story under the Investigates tab on KXAN.com. The sports bar dedicated to women's sports will open its doors soon in the capital city. Co-founders Deborah Hollum and Marlene Duplessis have been working for about a year now to bring the concept to life, and now they're getting close to the finish line. 1972. It's the ATX Women's Sports Pub has finally found a home on Guadalupe Street at the site of the former Moody's Kitchen and Bar. The owners tell us they will only show collegiate and professional sports on televisions inside of the pub. They previously told KXAN opening a women's sports bar was a purpose project for them as the popularity of women's sports increases.
1972 is about women's equality It is about inclusion. It will be a space for everyone. While we are lifting female athletes up on our televisions and lifting women's sports, it is a place for all women's sports fans. Inside these doors, this is a safe, inclusive space to leave everything else out and come have some fun to watch a women's sporting event.
Well, the new space is currently under renovation, but the pub's owners hope to open in time for March Madness.
We finished a cold month on the warm side with a high of 72 here today. Preliminary numbers suggest this January will be our 24th coldest January, and records that go back to the late 1800s. This coming after our second warmest December on record. And of course, we were lacking in the rainfall department somewhat with a more than half-inch rainfall deficit.
A new report from the Ending Community Homelessness Coalition, or ECHO, shows even though Austin's capacity to shelter and house people who are homeless has grown significantly over the past 5 years, it's still far from enough to meet that need.
As KXAN's Grace Reeder explains, it's not necessarily just the buildings and services that are expensive, but finding the space to put them has also become a growing challenge.
As Central Texas leaders talk about how they may come together to build shelter and housing for people experiencing homelessness, one obstacle is hard to ignore.
It's not the houses that are expensive, y'all. It's the dirt underneath them.
That's something Senator Sarah Eckhart has hinted she's trying to tackle at the state level. She says the state owns nearly 200 parcels of land in Travis County.
In addition to state dollars to assist with this, I also believe that we should look at all state properties within the city of Austin and within Travis County that would be appropriate for repurposing or co-locating deeply affordable housing.
It wouldn't be the first time the state has pitched in land to help people experiencing homelessness in Austin. Camp Esperanza, a tiny home, non-congregate shelter run by the Other Ones Foundation, was built on TxDOT land. And TxDOT recently purchased additional acreage next door to help the operation expand.
This is one of those examples, I think, of where government works.
But barring additional help from the state, the city of Austin may have to continue to rely on you. You're already paying for land acquisition because you voted for affordable housing bonds.
I think it might be one of the most important components to addressing affordability in the city of Austin is using our assets, and comprehensively taking an assessment of our assets and allocating those resources.
Grace Reeder, KXAN News.
Austin's voters approved several housing bonds in the past decade, $250 million in 2018 and $350 million in 2022. The largest chunk of money from the 2018 bond went to buying land. $100 million was set aside for land acquisition in that one. The city told us it's bought nearly 60 acres of undeveloped land and 3 hotels with that money. Now, as for the most recent bond, passed 3 years ago, the city of Austin has told us even though it has less strict restrictions for how that money will be used, large chunks of it will also go toward buying land.
Well, going in depth right now, over the span of roughly 5 years in Austin Travis County, more than 360 people experiencing homelessness died in a hospital. That's all according to a report from ECHO. That report showed the cost for their medical care in the year before their death was collectively more than $11 million. It also found that the money used could have funded more than 80% of the permanent supportive housing services or rent for that same group of people. Local leaders are asking for the state to push through Medicaid expansion bills that could cover the cost of medical services so local governments can focus on housing.
The legislature has just 110 days left until they run out of time to help us on this critical issue. I hope this is the year that we can make it happen because too many lives can be lost if we have to wait another 2 years.
And lawmakers have filed bills in the past to expand health coverage for people who are low income, seniors with disabilities, and those just with disabilities, but they did not get any traction. Okay, turning now to Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon. People are applauding you today because
Absolutely,
the perfect end to a work week, right?
And you can feel less guilty enjoying the sun when we just had some rain too.
Yes.
It's not like a long sunny stretch, but we got some rain and now we can enjoy this beautiful weather here, not just into this evening, but for the weekend as well. This is how it looks from our KXAN West Shore home camera from West Campus, looking toward downtown with a full blue sky, no clouds around at all. We're not going to see any for several days. These are the clouds that were with us during the afternoon and evening last night. They have now shifted east, and the sunshine has settled in, and it's not going anywhere. You'll see as we show you what the computer models suggest our cloud cover is going to do here for the coming days. No clouds overhead through the day tomorrow. Through Sunday, still cloud-free. That changes a little bit Monday as we start to tap into some more moist air out of the Gulf of America or Mexico, whichever we're going with here. You can see the clouds coming in out of the south and southeast, giving way to some low cloudiness early in the morning that will eventually give way to a lot of sunshine. You can see we're at 70 now in Austin after highs in the low 70s today, and we're going to keep building on those temperatures as we go through the coming days. Temperatures dropping into the mid 50s here at 8, and then it's mid to low 40s to start your day tomorrow, and some upper 30s in parts of the hill country. So it is going to be a chillier start to the day tomorrow compared to today, and even today was kind of chilly, right? But sunshine aplenty, dry air, very easy to heat up. We'll be in the upper 60s here by noon, and then coming in the low to even mid 70s tomorrow afternoon. Then temperatures drop mid 40s Sunday morning, and then we're close to the low 70s to even mid 70s already by midday Sunday, and then highs coming in the upper 70s and even low 80s as we get into your Sunday afternoon in some parts, and we think we do hit 80 by Monday. So we're down to 42 tonight with a clear sky. Here's your weekend and beyond. 74 sunny Saturday, 79 sunny on Sunday, mostly sunny on Monday after some patchy early clouds. And by the way, that high of 82 would be a record high on Monday, beating our previous record by a degree or two. Then we're still in the 80s Tuesday and Wednesday, dropping to 79 Thursday, and a bigger temperature drop on Friday. Nothing significant, still above normal. Normal being 64 for this time of year. And you'll notice the humidity changes as we go through the coming days as well. The air stays dry most of the weekend, but Sunday night, the humidity starts to climb, which may give way to some brief clouds Monday morning. But then also fairly muggy air Tuesday and Wednesday. And by the way, Thursday too is going to mean a lot of clouds around Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning. Even some areas of drizzle. That's what that 10% accounts for. Very light drops in the morning may amount to a very light rainfall accumulation. Generally speaking, though, it's morning clouds to afternoon sun for the foreseeable future from Tuesday through Thursday, even into Friday after that temperature drop.
A new non-opioid painkiller could soon help patients find relief. This marks the first time the FDA has approved a new type of pain medication in 25 years. The Food and Drug Administration approved the drug Journavx yesterday. The drug is approved to treat moderate to severe short-term pain in adults. The drug is billed as non-addictive, and experts say it's ideal for patients who cannot take other pain medications. The drug works by blocking pain signals from traveling to the brain without stimulating opioid receptors or producing feelings of euphoria. Right now, it's unclear how much the drug maker will charge for this and whether private insurers will cover it.